Brilliant. So I'll sort of run through very quickly who Click are, and as I said, a lot of you probably know us already because I can definitely see some people that we work with already on here. So I'm Mike Coulton. I'm head of business development. I've been with Click for coming up to 14 years, I'm pretty sure, next month. So very long time. We provide lots of different services all around IT. So some that you can see on the screen there, sort of managed IT solutions, so support desk style solutions for organizations, cyber security, cloud solutions, and also website design as well. As an organization, we've been going for just over 20 years, and a lot of people in the office are even older than me and longer in the tooth than me in the role. We've been working within businesses and charity sector for a very long time, almost all of that time, and particularly in the charity sector for a long time now. I'll stop talking now. If I can hand over to you, Chip, are you all right to carry on with the presentation from here, and I'll just sit in the background, just call if you need me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Mike. I appreciate the introduction, and I appreciate you inviting us to be here. My background is very similar. I was in Mike's shoes for a long time. I had a business very similar to Click for a number of years, going on 30 years, which is why my hair is as gray as it is. And my job towards the end was really looking at what else do our customers need that we aren't currently offering, right? So we have the cyber pieces, we have the security, we have the backup, we have the network administration and all that. What else do our customers need that we aren't currently providing? And one of those things that bubbled to the top was training, which is kind of what brought us to where we are today. So where I want to start off, though, is why training matters, because I've been in the small business space, the mid-sized business space, the nonprofit space for, like I said, about 30 years. And I know that this is not something that is a day-to-day priority most of the time for us, right? I mean, we're always thinking about, is the marketing campaign doing what it's supposed to be doing? Is that important employee thinking about leaving? Is that other employee causing too many problems? Do we need to do something there? Is our cash flow looking okay for next month? We've got 1,000 things to think about and to worry about as small and mid-sized business owners and managers. But I would argue that training makes a difference with all of those things. And so we're going to look at exactly why that is as we go along. So as I said, my name's Chip Reeves. I'm president of Bigger Brains. We're a training provider that works through IT consulting firms like Click to provide training to small and mid-sized businesses primarily. Before that, I was in the IT world for about 30 years. And the things we're going to cover today is a real quick overview of what Bigger Brains is, why training matters to us as small and mid-sized business owners, and then we'll do a quick demo of the BrainStation environment, what you actually get with the Bigger Brains solution, which we call BrainStation. So real quick on the Bigger Brains side, we're an award-winning training solution. We got started back in 2012. Originally focused exclusively on IT service providers. Along the way, the enterprise world kind of found us and started licensing some of our content there. And there we've won quite a few awards that don't quite animate in properly. So we've been honored to win, for example, Best IT Training Solution from eLearning Magazine, Best Online Learning Library, the Top 20 Watch List from trainingindustry.com, top number 7 Best Content from the Craig Weiss Group, and a lot of others, as you see there. Basically, as of today, what we have in addition to the training environment is we have 259 training courses representing over 4,000 video lessons. Each of our lessons is about 5 minutes, give or take. And so that works out to about 446 hours of total training. I don't think anybody has ever taken it all. Even I haven't seen all of it. But we try to make it as comprehensive as possible so you can pick and choose the pieces that make the most sense for your environment. So some of the topics that we cover, for example, heavy dose of technology, a lot of Microsoft Office, a lot of Microsoft 365, Teams and SharePoint and OneDrive, Forms and Planner, new things like Microsoft Viva and Microsoft Copilot. Also cover things like ChatGPT, a little bit of Google, a little bit of QuickBooks, a little bit of Adobe. And then, like Mike mentioned, we also do a lot with business skills. So a lot of how to be a new manager, how to communicate, how to do sales and marketing, how to manage your time, how to manage your emails. Those are some of the biggest ones on our list. So we're proud of our library. We think we have a great library, but it's great only if people use it. So then we have to think about, well, why does training matter? Why do I, as a small or mid-sized business owner or manager, care about having a training solution for my employees? And obviously I'm a little bit preaching to the choir here. If you're on this call, you already have some idea that training is important to you, but let's talk about some actual numbers that can pinpoint how important it is. The Association for Talent Development reports that companies with a comprehensive training program have significantly higher income per employee than those who don't. 94% of employees would stay with their employer if they invested in their development. And this is a growing trend. We'll see this more on the next slide. And employees now consider the opportunity to learn different skills with the ability to choose what they learn as the top non-traditional workplace benefit. Now, we're American-based, maybe a little different in the UK, but over here, things like health insurance, things like retirement plans, things like paid time off, those are kind of the primary benefits, what are considered the traditional benefits. When we look at non-traditional benefits, training and the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to expand and grow in your career is often the number one non-traditional benefit that employers can offer. And we see this especially with the younger generation that are coming into the workforce. When we look at Gen Z employees in particular, you'll see some statistics here. I won't read everything on how it's growing as a topic of focus for these new employees, both the ones that we have and the ones that we're recruiting. So I'm Gen X. According to this, Gen X says that it's extremely important or very important that my company provides training about 70% of the time. I would argue we're very old. We already know it all. But still, training was not a big thing that we expected when we came into the workforce. If we look at millennials, the Gen Y, it's 77%. And when we look at this newest generation, the Gen Z, it's 83.9%. Clearly, there's a growing expectation that us as employers are expected to help people grow in their careers. And really, that's beneficial for us too. I mean, there is that old joke about, what happens if we educate our employees and they, go get better jobs? What happens if we don't educate our employees and they stay? I think everybody recognizes now that having a smart, well-trained workforce is just a benefit to everybody. And even though we're an American company, a lot of our inspiration came from an Englishman, somebody that you might recognize, especially if you're as old as me. A lot of people know John Cleese as a comedian, as an actor. A lot of people don't know that he was also instrumental in creating one of, I think, the best online training companies in the world, which is a UK-based company called Video Arts. And he had this great quote that I like to use, which is, "People learn nothing when they're asleep and very little when they're bored." When we first started Bigger Brains, we had no intention of creating training content. We were going to create the platform that IT consultants could use to make it available to their customers, and we were going to license content from somebody else. Why reinvent the wheel? There's a lot of people out there who are making training content, right? So in 2012, we had focus groups that came in and looked at training from a variety of different providers. And our goal was to use the focus groups to help us pick the best one. Pick the ones that are most interesting, pick the ones that are most effective, so we can then go out and negotiate with those publishers and add their content to our platform. And the feedback was really interesting because the focus groups essentially came back and said, we don't like any of it. E-learning is boring. E-learning is not relevant. E-learning is outdated. It's hard to follow. It doesn't make sense. They didn't endorse any of it. There were some that were better than others. Actually, Video Arts was in the mix, and Video Arts was highly rated in some ways. But basically, they didn't feel that any of it was what they were looking for. It wouldn't be their first choice for training their employees. And that was very much the reputation of e-learning, especially back then in 2012. When I started talking to other people in the training industry, and I said, why is e-learning considered boring? The answer I got back was essentially, why is water considered wet? That's just the way it is. You can't do anything about it. That's just the way it is. We did a lot of research because we know that small and mid-sized businesses in particular are looking for specific things. They need the training to be relevant. I mean, we don't have a lot of time for our people to spend away from work learning new skills, right? It's got to be effective. It's got to actually help them improve in their job, improve in the work that they're doing for us. It's got to be convenient. Again, time is of an essence. If they've got 10 minutes to spend on training, then we need a way to get them 10 minutes worth of training to fill in that gap. And it's got to be cost effective. Now, an interesting stat, there's a few different companies that track how much companies on average spend on employee training per year. Converted to pounds, it's about 1,073 pounds per year per employee for small companies. What's interesting is a lot of these studies break them into small companies, mid-sized companies, and large companies. And small companies actually spend more per employee. And my theory on this is because a lot of small companies don't have access to e-learning. They're having to do training through formal certification, through conferences and workshops, through classes at a local university or whatever. And all of those are less convenient, takes people away from the job longer, they're more expensive, and they're just harder to get to. So if there's a way that we could create e-learning that was as effective, as engaging, as enjoyable as in-person training, but make it convenient and on demand. So if somebody wants to take 5 minutes of a course during their coffee break, they can. If somebody wants to sit down for 3 hours and knock out a course, they can. And we did a lot of research into the human brain, how people learn, what's considered engaging and not engaging. And what we came up with is a very unique style, and this is still unique to Bigger Brains to this day, which we call our teacher-learner style. What we realize is that in a classroom environment, it's not a static lecture generally. And if we think back to our school days, the most boring classes were always the one where it was just the teacher, reading from the book, right? No interaction, no engagement. The best classes are the ones where they're more interactive, right? There's more conversation between the teacher and the class. And we looked for a way that we could replicate that in an on-demand e-learning environment. And that's what we call our teacher-learner solution. So all of our courses are filmed with 2 people on camera in a more conversational style. In our traditional courses, you're watching one teacher who averaged over 17 years of experience in their topic area teaching a person on camera. And that's unscripted. So that person's legitimately responding with the types of questions that a person would respond in a classroom environment. Makes it much more interesting, much more engaging. In our Brain Bites courses, which are our micro courses, those are scripted, but it's still 2 people on camera, and it's still designed to be conversational and interactive. And there's a lot of science behind why all this works, and we could spend a lot of time on this, but what matters is the end results. And the end results is we get rave reviews from our customers, and we hope we'll get the same from you as well. So let's take a look at the Bigger Brains environment and what this actually looks like. So I'm going to exit out of my presentation, and we'll jump into the demo. Mike, I'm at a good place. I'm at a good place to stop if there's any questions at this point we want to take.
I think we're all good. I've just seen there is someone, Steve, who's not able to see. I don't know if it's our video or the presentation itself, actually.
Sounds like it might be a Teams issue. I might, if it's the web-based, I might try refreshing there.
But yeah, other than that, all good.
All right, so we're going to get started at this website, brainstationlms.com. It's a very generic web page for a purpose, and you'll have a username and email you can enter. I never remember my passwords. I always use the login with Microsoft. If you have a Microsoft 365 account or even a personal Microsoft account, you can use this to log in. Now, I will warn you ahead of time, I use my own account for demos a lot, and so mine is a lot messier than a normal human's account should be. So this is the home screen when you first log into what we call BrainStation. Your company logo or ClickIT's logo will be up here in the top. And what we're looking at are all of the courses that either I've started recently or that a manager has assigned to me. And if I want to break that down and just see the ones that have been assigned to me, I can click on these tiles and that'll show me just the 4 that have been assigned to me. I can see that some of these have due dates. The due dates are, in a couple of cases, pretty old, so these 2 are past due. Not sure why there's 2 showing past due and overdue courses only shows as 1. There's something wrong there. But I can break down to look at all the different categories. I can also see the ones that I've completed. So these are 5 courses that I've completed. And for any completed courses, I have the opportunity to download a PDF certificate or to add a digital badge. We'll come back and look at this in just a minute. There's also a thing called Learning Paths. Learning Paths are a collection of courses. So for example, your organization might want to make sure that all new employees coming on board take a series of 5 courses, maybe a cybersecurity course, maybe a data privacy course, maybe an intro to Microsoft 365, intro to Teams course, that sort of thing. You can group those together in a learning path, and you can also assign those to people here. But back on the home screen, I see a mix of all of these. The assigned courses come first, and then the recent courses come after that. Again, a normal human would not have 59 recent courses. That's just I tend to do a bit of demos here. If I want to go back into one of these, I can just click on it. So here's Microsoft Power Automate, which is a great tool. I get some information about the course. I get a little sample so I can see if it's worth my time. Okay, it's going to be a 43-minute course. It's got 8 lessons. Skill levels listed as basic. I can look at more of the lessons. I can see recommended other courses, but if I want to launch the course, I'll click on Launch Course. It's asking me if I want to pick up where I left off. I'll choose OK. Don't remember where that was. So here I am. So I'm in the Power Automate Basics course. I'm on lesson 6. And you can see over here in the navigation, so I've completed lessons. Well, actually, I haven't, because it would have checked them off. So I used this in a demo clearly, and I jumped to lesson 6. So lesson 6 has been watched, but lessons 1 and 2 have not. So let's go to lesson 2. And I can just play it from here. Now, I didn't share with audio, so you're probably not hearing it. There's a little music at the start. So that's the teacher on the left and the learner on the right, like we talked about. And they're going to interact as they go through this course. We film everything in a studio, so you'll see a combination of the screens popping up. You'll see them coming back to camera. You'll see graphics popping up to explain the topic. Now, that's all great, but personally, I'm the kind of person that likes to have the captions on the TV. And we have the same thing here. We can do it in 2 different ways. I can either come over here to the interactive transcript, and here's where I can actually read everything that's being said in the course. And this is also clickable. So if I'm playing, you'll notice that it highlights as it goes along. We'll wait for it to change to the next sentence. There it goes. And if I click somewhere, it'll actually jump to that section. Oops, pause it. Now I can choose to view this in any of 29 different languages. So by default it's English, but maybe I'm French by nationality, and it's more comfortable for me to read that transcript in French. I can do that, and I'm seeing a French-based translation here. I can also choose to have the captions up on the screen, and if I want to, I could choose the same thing. I could also choose French, but maybe just for educational purposes, I want to choose German instead. So now I'm seeing the French on the right, I'm seeing the German at the bottom. The audio is still in English. We have a few courses that are dubbed into Spanish, a couple that are dubbed into French and Portuguese, but most of them are in English. I also have the regular controls you'd expect. I can control the speed of the video. So if you're one of those people that likes to watch the video at 1.5 speed to go through a little bit faster, you can do that. I can even pop it out and do a picture-in-picture kind of thing if I want to do that and actually have the app open in front of me while I'm watching the video. That's been a popular new feature we added recently too. I'll go back to the screen. Within the lesson, I can also navigate up here at the top. So if I want to jump ahead to lesson 3, I can do that. There's a couple of really unique features here too, though. Maybe I don't have a lot of time, and maybe I'm the kind of person that I'm so busy I'm going to forget to take the training if I'm not reminded. We have this drip feed function, and what drip feed will do is it will actually send a lesson a day to the person. So each day they'll get 1 new lesson, and they can choose to receive that via email, via Microsoft Teams, or also via Slack or WebEx are the other options there. Most people choose email or Microsoft Teams. I don't think we've ever had anybody choose WebEx, but it is an option. And so that'll send you a lesson a day, and as you complete them, they will be marked off as complete in BrainStation. I could also choose to share this lesson. So maybe you're taking a course and maybe you realize that, hey, what this lesson is talking about is something that applies to a conversation you were having with a colleague, or something that you talked to your grandmother about, or whatever. You can choose to share this lesson with another person. They don't need to have a BrainStation account. So it's auto-filling my email. They don't have to have a BrainStation account. All they need is an email address. So when you send to their email address, it's going to let them have access to just this one lesson, and just for a limited period of time and a limited number of plays. So it's a great way to share anything you're learning in BrainStation with somebody else. Depending on the course, you'll also have downloads. So almost all the courses have a handout. Courses like Excel and Word and PowerPoint and some of the others will also have practice files. So if the instructor is working through a spreadsheet on screen, you can download that same spreadsheet to be following along in your own copy of Excel on your own computer. And then last, of course, we have the option to close the lesson. So we'll do that, and we're back where we started. Now, we started off here on the home screen with all the courses that have been assigned to us and the ones that we've opened recently. But how do you find a new course if you're looking to start something new? Well, there's a couple of ways. You can come to the content library, and here you're actually going to see 4 different libraries by default. Now, some of this is customizable, so you might see a different number. The first library is the Bigger Brains library, and by default, this is sorted with the newest courses on top. So our newest one is an update to our Microsoft Teams Fundamentals course that just came out recently, and I haven't started that. But if I'm curious about it, I can click on it, and again, I get that same screen, 7 lessons, 46 minutes, and so on. Let's go back to Content Library. I can also use these category filters to browse. So maybe I'm only looking at business skills. I can see all the, let's say, meeting management courses. So here's just the courses that involve meeting management. I can also choose to sort different ways and so forth, but maybe I don't want to browse through all this. Maybe I know the topic that I'm looking for. Maybe I really want to learn something about ChatGPT. So I can type in ChatGPT in the search bar at the top anytime. If I just type and don't press anything, it's going to populate a drop down with all the courses that match that name. So if that's what I wanted, if I wanted this course called AI Business Essentials ChatGPT, I can just click on this. It'll take me straight there. But let me do that again, because what I can also do is I can press enter, and this is going to do a full search of the system. So it's going to find any courses that have ChatGPT in the name, but it's also going to find any lessons in other courses that might reference ChatGPT. So we can see that, yes, there's a ChatGPT course, but the Microsoft Copilot course also references ChatGPT. And then we also have this thing called the Community Library. The Community Library are free courses. It's free training that's offered from Microsoft, from Google, from universities, and so on. Now, your people could access all of that from the Microsoft website, from the Google website. A lot of it's on YouTube. But there's also a lot of non-work related things on those websites. And so having it here in the Community Library makes it easy for them to find it and not get distracted by other things. So if I turn on the search for the Community Library, well, I didn't find anything else. I thought there were some community library courses. Let's do a search for Azure. And here with the community courses turned on, we can see that there's one Bigger Brains course about Microsoft Azure. That's in our Microsoft 365 admin course. But then there's a lot of free training from Microsoft and others here that also reference Azure. So all of that we found through the search bar at the top. Now next, going across the top, we have My Badges. This is a new feature we just added this year. We're very excited about it. And what this does, we also saw this, if you remember in the My Courses, if I look at my completed courses, remember I have that certificate I can download and I have the digital badge. Let me just show what those look like. So the certificate's a little PDF, suitable for framing, that lets you know when you completed this course and who completed it and so on. The badge is a little different. So here's a cybersecurity course that I completed. When I click on the badge, this is what I see, and that looks great and everything. Now, if I want to brag about it, I can do a couple of things. I can download it. That's going to download this badge as an image. I can post it to a resume. I can post it to my website, my blog, whatever I want to do. But we also have an easy way for you to post it to your LinkedIn profile. So if I choose Add to my LinkedIn, I don't think I've actually added this one yet, so this will be a good experience. It pre-populates this field in LinkedIn with all the information from the course. I'll choose Save. You can change it if you want to. And now it wants you to post it. I'm going to, sure, I'll post it. Why not? If you guys go check my LinkedIn, you'll see this posted today. And now on my LinkedIn profile, if I scroll down to licenses and certifications, I'll see cybersecurity awareness, real stories. I think I had actually posted this before. Now, for anybody else who comes here, if they're browsing your LinkedIn, and they see this badge, when they click on it, they see a page very similar to what we saw before, but with a couple of changes. One, obviously, they don't have the buttons to add it to LinkedIn. They don't have all the extra information that comes along with it. They'll also see that it was provided by Click IT, and my demo account is provided by CT Anderson, so that'll be here in the LinkedIn as well. So a cool feature to add that to your LinkedIn anytime you complete a course. And once you've added a badge, it'll show up here in the My Badges menu. So those are the ones that I've added so far. Next, going across the top, we have Team Leader. Now, not everyone will see the Team Leader menu. Within your organization, most users will be normal users. And in their place, they'll see a reporting link here, which just shows them a report of their progress. But for anybody that you want to designate as a team leader, this will be a manager, somebody who has the ability to run reports on other people within the organization, to create content, to create courses that are specific to the organization. So if you want to create a little course on company policy, on the ethos of the organization, on how to use the time clock app, or any of those kinds of things, you can do that as a team leader. It's also a person who has the ability to assign courses to people. So if you want to make sure that all the employees take the cybersecurity course by a certain date, or all the employees take the Intro to Microsoft Teams course by a certain date, you can do that. And they also have the ability to add and change employees as well. So when you add new people, if somebody's name changes, all of that sort of thing, all of that falls under Team Leader. And you see all that in the menu here, right? So we start off with a dashboard of everything that's happened within the organization. We can see the most popular courses. In this case, it's Power Automate Basics, probably because I've been using it for a lot of demos. We can see our reports, so I can run a report on a specific course, a specific learner, complete course for the company, or I can just look at what's overdue. Within the manage teams, this is where I can go to manage my team. This is where I can add, remove, change people. But I can also create sub-teams. So maybe you've got one organization, but you want to have different departments. So maybe there's a marketing department, maybe there's an accounting department, and you want to do a few things differently with that. You'd like to be able to run reports on those departments separately. Maybe you want to be able to assign courses to those departments separately. Those are things you can do when you create a sub-team. Then we have our course builder. So this is where you'll come in and create content. There's two kinds of content you can create. The primary content you're going to create is a new course. So all of these are sample courses I've created. Let me just see what Donut Fiesta employee training looks like to give you an idea. So it'll have a course image. In this case, just showing the name. It has a course description. There's a few checkboxes. Public just means that this is going to be available in that content library like we saw, not for everybody in BrainStation, just for people in your organization. If you don't check that box, then it means that employees won't see this course until it's assigned to them. Once it's assigned to them, then they see it, but otherwise they can't browse and take it themselves. You can turn on and off the share functions. You can turn on and off digital signatures. This is actually something that was requested by one of our clients. They wanted the ability to have an employee sign that they completed the course themselves and didn't get any help taking the course. So you can enable that either before the course or after the course. And then you start creating content. And content comes from modules. You've got a variety of module types. Could just be as simple as a PowerPoint, a Word document, a PDF. Could be a link to a website. You could create your own content in an HTML page. You can also, if you have something like a video that's not from, well, if you have a video from Vimeo or YouTube, those are options here directly. But maybe you have a video from SharePoint. Maybe you have a video from some other video service. You can use the iframe function. There it is, iframe function, to add the code, the embed code for that video here. And you can do that for a variety of things too. We have a customer that uses a tool called FreeFuse that basically lets you create these little animated course narratives and with like branching and paths and everything. So you can put that into your course builder through the iframe function. And you can see those here. Each module gets a name, gets a description. You can choose whether it's embedded or pops out in a new window. And you can see the ones we've done here. So for our sample employee training, we have an employee presentation. That's a PowerPoint. We have a video. And then we have a couple of question pools. Now, question pools is the other thing you can create here in the course builder. We saw that here. And this is basically the idea that if you want to have a group of questions that the employee is going to answer, the learner is going to answer, but you want the ability to have them randomized, so not everybody sees the same questions in the same order. If it's just a couple of questions, you can add those as questions in the module types. But if you want a randomized question pool, this is where you'd add that from here. And of course, you can see all your courses, edit your courses, view your courses from here. So if we view this, it'll give us a sample of what the course looks like. So there's the image, the description. I'm 45% of the way through. And this is, you can see which modules I've completed. I've completed the PowerPoint, the video, and the first question pool, and I've not yet completed these next three. Pretty straightforward. Back on the team leader menu, the other thing you'll see is learning paths. This is where you can create those groups of courses. You can choose to have the group of courses either be required to be completed sequentially, so they have to do, for example, this course, then this one, then this one, or if it's just a grouping of courses, they can take them in any order they want to. And this is where we can assign our courses. So if we want to assign a bunch of courses to one learner, do that here. If we want to assign one course to many learners, we do that from assign learners to course. And you can also see the assignment for learning paths. Now you won't see the reseller menu, that's just for us. And there's a couple of settings. You can choose to turn off that community library if you want to. You can also choose to suppress email. The emails that go out are really just the notifications when a course gets assigned or when a course is past due, and of course the forgot password function. That's the only emails our system sends out by default. Finally, you have just the account menu, which is just your basic information, and you have a section to get help. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. My favorite feature of BrainStation, though, is the fact that you don't have to come to the website to use it. If you use Microsoft Teams a lot, which I do, you can actually get to it directly inside Microsoft Teams. Make sure I don't have anything sensitive on my screen. So here's my Microsoft Teams, some phone calls I got today. Notice that I have Bigger Brains as a link over on my left side. So this is an app. If you go to the App Store in Microsoft Teams and do a search for Bigger Brains, you'll find the Bigger Brains e-learning app, which I've already got installed on mine. And you can choose to add that to your left sidebar like I've done here. The great thing about this is it's the exact same content. You get the exact same, almost the exact same functionality. There's a few things that don't work in Teams and one thing that works differently in Teams. But you don't have to log in. It's just always right there, one click away. You get that same information. So a really handy way to get access to it. The other thing you can do in Microsoft Teams, which I always forget to plan this ahead of time. Just make sure I don't show you guys anything sensitive. Okay, good. In any chat or channel inside Microsoft Teams, you can choose to add Bigger Brains e-learning to that chat or channel. So here we have a team called Production New. By the way, my employees hate when I do this because I always do this to Teams channels they're actually using. So I will be yelled at for this later on today, but that's okay. It's worth it. So here's a channel they've made called Brain Bites Windows 11 Essentials. This is a new course they've been working on. If I come up to the top to add a tab, this is where I can add any app. And of course, one of the apps is Bigger Brains e-learning. It asks you which license, just because I have multiple licenses. It's almost always individual license. Let's say, though, that instead of this being a channel for this particular course, let's say that this was a channel that my sales team is using. And I really want all of the people on the sales team to take a particular sales course. I have a choice when I add this tab. I could add the BrainStation view. That's the full view that we've been seeing with everything else. Or I could say, you know what, I just want this to be one course, and I want it to be the sales course. Let's do Salesforce Essentials, sure. We give it a name. Helps if you can type. You have the option to post to the channel about the tab. I always uncheck this so my team doesn't notice it. Choose Submit and Save. And now in Teams, so over here, we have the conversation that's happening, but now I have this new tab for Salesforce training. And when I click on it, all I'm seeing is that one course. It's a super easy way to give a team or anybody that you're chatting with direct access to a single course. Works just the same as we've seen everywhere else. We've got the lessons. This is a little bit older view of the lesson navigation. And we have the interactive transcript as well. So that's the big benefit of using it inside Microsoft Teams. And I think that is it for the demo. So I will jump back to the slides. Mike, if there's any questions that I should jump into while I'm in the demo mode, let me know.
I don't think any for the demo mode. I actually didn't realise I've used it a little bit in Teams, but I didn't realise you could assign single courses, so that's really cool. I like that one. We had one question from Emma who's with us, which was how often a course is refreshed on the Bigger Brains platform.
That's a great question. Yeah, it's pretty much a never-ending challenge with any of the software providers to keep them up to date, because obviously things change every month, and particularly with our style where everything's so video-based, it's a lot more time-intensive to update our courses. Our goal is to update all of the cloud-based courses, so Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, any of those annually. And we're very upfront about it. You may have noticed, for example, that new course that just got added, the Teams Fundamentals, had the word 2024 in parentheses in the title. With any of the cloud-based courses, you'll always see that. So the year it was updated is in parentheses at the end of the name. We will update it multiple times in the year if we need to, particularly if there's a big change. Occasionally Microsoft's been prone to move the menu from the left to the top or the top to the left, or whatever, and things like that. So we'll go in and make those changes when we need to. Most of the time, the changes that are happening on a month-to-month basis are incremental. So the training we have is still valid. We'll usually come back and maybe add like an extra lesson on new updates for 2025, that sort of thing. But that's the goal, is all of the technology courses, all the cloud-based technology courses are updated annually. The non-cloud technology courses, and I need to find a better way to phrase that, things like Microsoft Excel or Word or PowerPoint, kind of the classics, those are generally updated twice per version. Now these days we have Excel 365, for example. That's updated annually, but we also have Excel 2021, or we have Excel 2019. And for Excel 2019, for example, is a great example. It came out in 2018, actually, towards the end of 2018. And the initial version that came out is what we started filming our courses on. And then it got some updates. So even though it's not cloud-based, it did get some updates. So around 2020, 2021, we did a refresh on all the Excel 2019 courses. So you'll see the publication date for all the Excel 2019 courses is sometime around 2020, 2021. But those don't change as much, and so they get that one refresh in the life cycle of the content. But everything else we try to do annually.
Cool. That sounds good. We had one more as well in the Q&A, which is, can I check if there is UK English as well as American English to select?
That is a very good question. I don't think there is, actually, and we had a big debate about that. I remember, because the translations is a thing. Let me pop back over to the demo here. There we are. So if we go into Power Automate, for example, look at the transcript. So yeah, we don't have a British English. I don't think there's a UK English. There's not. There was a lot of debate about that. It's not terribly hard for us to add it. The challenge is, especially from a software perspective, there's not that many wording changes. There are spelling changes, but since it's audio based, you guys don't like to use the Z as much as you should. But other than that, the wording's pretty much the same. Yeah. But so sorry, not a UK English version, just a shared English version.
I had one question actually around that single courses in Teams, because I'd spotted that before. Obviously, the courses, as you've shown already, you get the badges at the end and the certificate to say that you've completed it. When you publish the single course into Teams, and if I'm a user that's part of that channel, I presume I still get the badge at the end for me completing it, even though it's kind of been published to everybody, because it's still me signed in, isn't it?
Yeah, you do. There is an interesting challenge with that. Let me pull this up, and it's just waiting for an update on our side is what it is. So, of course, I haven't finished this course, but if I go to the main view here, okay, it does have it now. It does have the update. So if I had completed that course, I won't see the badge on the single course. But if I come back to the full view, then I will see it under my badges. So in other words, Gotcha. The progress does track, so it will get the badge option here.
Yeah, perfect. And then from a team leader perspective, if I've published that out for my team to do, for instance, I'll still be able to track that they've completed it within the team leader side of things anyway, can't I?
Exactly.
Yeah.
For what we're talking about here, we do have a way. Some enterprise customers prefer to have our training loaded into their own learning system. And that's fine. We support that. That's easy to do. But in those cases, if they do also use the Teams app, then of course our progress in the Teams app doesn't track back to their learning platform, because we don't have a way to do that. But that's probably obscure and not really relevant for this.
Gotcha. Okay, no, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. There's no other Q&As unless anyone else has any questions for us. I'm just going to check to make sure nothing else has been asked. But I think we're all good. And we're almost bang on time as well. That was really good. We're either usually well over or well under. So no, that was perfect.
Normally I'm always well over, so I don't know why we're as early as we are. So
no, that's all good. Well, what we've got, as I mentioned already, so anyone that's still with us and is interested in looking at this, we've got some free consultations. We're going to send around some more comms. We'll obviously send them around a recording as well if you want to forward this around to other colleagues, and we'll send around like pricing and things like that as well, so you can see what that looks like. In terms of the actual deployment, we're going to do a couple of different options there. We've got kind of a self-managed where we kind of set you up the very basic stuff and then you run with everything you need, or we can do fully managed where we enroll your users, we help you set up learning paths, and we've got user guides and videos that we can help you deploy as well. So there's a couple of different options around that, but if it is something you're interested in, then in the chat, not sure in the Q&A, but definitely in the chat, there's the link for the consultation, or just reach out to your account manager here at Click, or just reply back to our emails and let us know if there's anything else you need. But yeah, thank you very much, Chip. That's been brilliant. Really good to know, and I know some of my team are on here watching as well, so we probably all learned a bit of something from the master as well. So yeah, if there's anything else, just put another message. Let me just check. Oh no, so thank you. Okay, great. Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for joining, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you all soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody.